Hello. So today I'm going to be doing a VOD review. Basically I have maybe like 20 or 30 VODs from the last patch that I'm just trying to go over. I played a lot of these offline, just before going to sleep and stuff like that, where I can't do like live on stream type of stuff. But basically what I'm going to go over in this video is Ghostly. Now Ghostly, if you haven't seen it, you haven't been playing, because it's one of the most broken comps. It's very easy to play and it's ridiculously strong. It has very high win out potential. It's actually getting nerfed I don't know how substantially. I think it's pretty substantial, the nerfs. I think it acts as the comp that it doesn't make it unplayable, but it makes it like you can't play it contested, which was a really big thing now. You probably can't tempo with it, and it's really reliant on like hitting a lot of the 3 costs. It might not even be the best version of said 2 cost reroll style comp. So in light of that, I wanted to show this game where I took a really good reroll augment. I took 2 for 1, which I think a line like this would still be viable after the patch on Wednesday. I think that you're more inclined that it would have to be one of these versions of the comp, so to speak, instead of just like playing it out of like, oh, I'll just force Ghostly this game, right? It's not that broken anymore. But anyways, so what you do with the Ghostly comp is you basically just put in all the Ghostly units, and the idea is that if the front line survives long enough, as units attack the front line, the way the Ghostly trait works is if they get attacked 7 times, they like shoot a specter or shoot 2 specters at like adjacent enemies. So what you're trying to do is you're just trying to build up those specters, because the amount of specters, like these little blue floating orbs that are on a unit, the more damage they take, right? So what you're trying to do is you're just trying to get by all the Ghostly units. You're trying to play vertical Ghostly. You usually try and get to 4 Ghostly mid game, 6 Ghostly late game, and the specters hit those units and they take more damage. And what you're trying to do is you try and build up the specters, because every time a unit dies, those specters get passed on to another one. So what it requires is your front line to be very, very strong. So you want your front line to be priority almost, because they're the ones that are just going to try and stall out, and you have a back line that attacks really fast so that they repeatedly proc the extra damage from the Ghostly specter. As you can see, those are the little blue orbs I'm talking about. And eventually what ends up happening is units start getting one shot, because if the fight lasts long enough of these specters are in circulation, that when a unit dies, it passes on to the other one, passes on to the other one, passes on to the other one, to a point where like even an auto from one of your frontline units will kill off most of the board. So it's a very stall heavy comp, right? So when you're thinking stall, you're thinking stuff like, okay, Gwinsu for backline, right? We want the fight to last long, we want to get a lot of attack speed. And for frontline, you're thinking, I want full tank items. So usually with this comp, you're prioritizing Senna and Shen. There's other versions of this Ghostly comp where you can play Kindred and Gnar, and that is like the new AP version if you have AP items, right? So for example, with the opener that I have right now, it might look a little bit more AP focused. This was a pretty funny game, because that guy you saw him with a Gnar 2. It's stage 2-3 and he has a Gnar 2. What happened was he took Build-A-Bud, and then it's the one with and then the Recon Bob hit, so you got Gnar 3. I just deathed because people are already bitching, and like, you know, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, right? Also, this game's from a little bit ago. I'm now Emerald. I think I'm Emerald 2. I just grinded last night to Emerald 2. I'm trying to keep myself in that like top 1% area. Whenever I fall out of the 1% is when I actually start playing a lot more off stream. Just because like I feel like that's where I should be. I don't want to fall too far behind the meta and my ranking, because like, you know, I think top 1% of anything is like a good benchmark to say that I'm like good enough to like know stuff, or at least to me. So typically with Shen, what you want to build is you want to build double gargoyle. It's his best item, and Shen's like your main tank, but you could prioritize other tanks. Before, the comp was very flexible. Obviously with nerfs, it'll be a lot less flexible, and there's chances that it might not be like the right option to be playable at all coming this Wednesday, but I digress. We're gonna go over this video, which is 2 for 1. So if you see me with 2 for 1, I'm pushing levels really fast and I'm rolling really aggressively, right? So right now you saw me that instead of making econ, like I basically sold all my gold, and I leveled to find a Senna, to roll for the Senna, and I want to be on level 6, right? 2 for 1 is an augment. It's a prismatic augment, and what it does is if you buy a unit, it gives you another copy of the unit, as long as they're less than 3 cost, right? You can use 2 for 1 in 2 ways. You can use it like an econ augment, where you just buy a 3 cost and sell it, and it's like a +3 gold for the round, which is really good. But if you're committed to a reroll, I think the correct way, I might be wrong with this, I'm not sure like how to check stats or like for something specific like this, but what I see a lot of higher elo people doing is they just roll really aggressively with it, because you spike so hard by upgrading your units that the econ is kind of fake. You can rebuild the econ once you have like 3-star everybody. You just want to be online as fast as possible. So if you're rolling for a 3 cost, you know, let's say you're playing Bard and like one of those 3 cost rerolls or Yone, something like that, then you might want to use it to tempo level first. So like buy expensive units and then sell them and whatnot, right? But if you're playing like a 2 cost reroll where it's really easy to get to level 6, I just want to be on level 6. I'll try my best to make econ, but I'm just trying to buy one of the units that is going to be on the final board that's really important. So one of the 2 cost or 3 cost units that fits into this board. And I'm aggressively rolling every turn until I hit one of them, because I'm rolling for a lot of units that are potential upgrades, and I can 3-star all of them on a very fast pace, right? This version of playing, it's this reroll heavy with 2 for 1. You're playing very aggressively tempo, right? Because you don't want to econ too much, because then you'll have to roll your gold anyways later, and it might not work out, right? So like for example, if right now I sacked all of this stage to make it to 50, and then I was slow rolling 50, I wasted all those turns of potential upgrades and finding units to upgrade my board with 2 for 1. And instead, I'm relying on heavily rolling down stage 4 and 5 to get those 3 stars, instead of just like tempoing it now, getting the upgrades, and then just worry about leveling later, because my board is going to be stable at level 6 anyways, right? Especially with the ghostly board, you're only really leveling for extra ghostly units. Usually your next ins are just Kayn and Morgana. So as long as you upgrade everybody now, this is going to be your board and you'll be strong, and you can get a pretty easy top 4, right? If I'm going for like a win out, it's probably like build econ and slow roll, right? If you're trying to like desperately play for first. But if you're trying to play really reliably, then yeah, this is pretty good. Something to note, as you can see here, I did aggressively level because like I think there was a lot of gold influx, so it's a little bit difficult. I have a lot of AP items here. I just wanted to be known that I played this well before the Kindred tech was on Twitter. This was played like, you know, around a week ago. I think this was played like the night of the first time that Ghostly was like denounced as being good, or like announced of being good. So there'll obviously be mistakes with the itemization. You usually want to have, if you have AP items, basically you just drop the Senna and the Jax, and you can play like Gnar Kindred, and it's pretty good. And then you could also like put in like other units for that as well. Like there's a whole way to build that board, and it caps really high because you can also play like Udyr later for Behemoth and get back the Ink Shadow item, etc. Right? But it's kind of crazy. It's like whatever, right? Doesn't matter that much right now. The main thing is that I'm just holding items. This is the stage that I want to win streak, right? Stage 2, it could be win, lose, but stage 3, you want, like with something like a reroll comp, you want to be very strong on stage 3, because stage 4 and stage 5, people start hitting like really strong boards and you might not be able to outcap them. So you really want to make sure that you have as many upgrades as possible. That's why a lot of times with a reroll on at 3-2, you'll see some people, they'll send it down to 30, they'll break their 50 gold, they'll roll a little bit for some upgrades. It's just because you want to make sure that you preserve both HP and economy, and try your best to win streak stage 3. If you can't win streak stage 3 because there's a high roll in the lobby, that's fine. but as long as you don't lose too much health, because you just want to have time to hit the 3 costs and then bleed out to whatever placement you have. If you high roll the 3 costs or the 3 stars, and you just win out because you have all 3-star units, then you can push levels, and then maybe you can outcap the high rollers and you can just win first. But anyways, as you can see here, you see how the specters, they get more numerous as the fight goes on. It's because basically as units attack, basically if you take damage 7 times or deal damage 7 times, it causes the specters to summon. It's always going to be harder to deal damage 7 times than it is to take damage 7 times, right? If you put a Shen as a solo frontline unit, he's getting aggroed by multiple units, he will summon a specter so fast, because basically, like, if every unit attacks him twice, done. It's over. That's it. Every unit attacks him twice, done. Specters are summoned, as opposed to, like, for example, the Caitlyn, or if you put a ghostly spat on Senna. The main reason you have attack speed on the back line, as well as attack speed for the whole board, kind of helps, because every specter matters to a certain extent, especially after the nerfs. It will matter a lot more. You'll basically have to summon, like, around 20 to 30% more specters. It also might turn into the fact that you might have to just play this comp towards like 8 ghostly, but that's like, that needs 2 spats, so like I don't think it's like viable. Anyways, check out this Build-A-Bud guy. So look, the specters stack. Ready? Bang, he's dead. Right, and then look, everybody gets one shot. Boom, boom. Right? And this is what the guy they were pinging. I think this guy had like the best possible scenario, right? It just so happens that he's playing me that's contesting Senna. But like he took Recon Bob, so he kind of Recon Bobbed his way into a contest. But he could have played towards like Kindred or just vertical Dryads off the Gnar, because the Gnar 3 is going to scale really hard into late game. I might not even beat the Gnar guy. I don't know if this is the game that I go second against the Gnar guy. We'll probably skip out most of the middle stage of this game, because and play a different and show a different version of the comp via video, just because this ghostly comp kind of plays itself. You see how I'm not really like thinking about anything. All I kind of have is like solo frontline Shen. I took an attack speed and armor augment because it helps both. It just helps the buddy comp, kind of helps everybody. I buy the Shen here even though the Alawi is worth more gold, because I just want to be like one off the Shen, because the Alawi I might never 3-star. I think here, it might be good just to make Hodge. I make a Gwinsu on Senna, because like I said, just having attack speed on the backline is really important with this comp. Oops, I bumped my mic, sorry. Trying to get a tissue. A lot of times when I do these offline recordings, I don't know, I'm always doing these offline recordings at awkward hours of the day, and then I'm like tired, and then my nose starts running. So sorry about that. Anyways, as we can see here, you see how the specters keep getting summoned and then they build up. I've seen myself lose a lot of fights though with Ghostly, because Ghostly, it matters a lot to not spread out your spread out who you're attacking, if that makes sense. You really want your Ghostly units to kind of isolate, especially your backline, to isolate on one unit in particular, because the Ghostly comp scales really well by like single target killing a unit, then moving on to the next, moving on to the next, moving on to the next, because you want like all the Ghostly stacks ideally to be on one unit. Then when that unit dies, it passes, that unit dies, it passes, and it scales really well late into the fight. What usually goes wrong with Ghostly, which might happen a lot now, like after nerfs, is that if you spread out your damage, so for example, like that's by my front line, I'm trying to position to like have everybody like target the Shen. I kind of group in a circle around the Shen. What ends up happening is if you spread out your Ghostly procs to like multiple units, none of them take enough damage to just like get one shot and die. And then you basically just get rolled because the whole board is still alive, and they just like all kill you, right? So as you can see here, my damage did spread out a little bit. I probably lose this fight. So if you saw earlier in this specific combat, you can rewind it a little bit. The front line kind of wrapped in an awkward way. If you look at the Ghostly stacks, you see how none of them have like that really dense blue ring around them. Instead, you have 4 specters on one and 4 specters on the other. That's just by the nature of how I kind of like divided the team and killed 2 separate ways instead of killing just one at a time and getting all the specters on one unit. That's how you lose fights really easily. It was a totally winnable fight, and against Bard, it's usually a guaranteed win because Bard is all about attack speed, so he just builds a bunch of specters for the whole team, and he usually is like it's like a hard counter comp. It's like I'm the paper to his rock, but instead I don't know, I kind of position myself into a scissors, if you know what I mean. Okay, so I have one spark here. I don't think I have a gargoyle. My items are generally bad for the comp in this one. Probably the reason if I don't go first is probably because of items. This was definitely a play kindred angle. Here I'm debating what I should take. I just take the Senna. I can take the Aatrox. I'm rolling now a little bit, right? The reason I'm rolling is I'm one off Shen. And now I'm one off Shen. I'm one off, what's her name? Senna. Now, I could greed and not roll here to break Econ. But the reason... So I make the Spark because... So Spark, apparently, like, some people said it's not. Mortdog said it is, I think. I saw a clip, like, when I was watching. But apparently, the Ghostly Specters do AP damage. So Spark is really good in getting some extra additional damage. Other people say it's, like, true damage. I don't know exactly, so I just built Spark because I think that is correct. And I think the delta on Spark is really high, so the stats say that it's really good with this comp, so I assume that it works like that. So Spark is, I wouldn't say Spark is essential because, like, it might be essential after nerfs, but as of right now, if you're still playing it before Wednesday, I think Spark is not that important, but I think it will be really important. It kind of reminds me of, like, remember when Bilgewater, you always needed to make an even shroud because the Bilgewater damage was physical? It's kind of like that. I take heavy hitters. Heavy hitters is busted. It might be a win out with heavy hitters. We'll see. I'm rolling because I'm basically one off Aatrox, one off Senna. I decide at this point, Aatrox in this comp is probably the least important to star up. Right, I would say even a Lowy is nice to star up. Usually it's Senna Shen. Now I can start pushing levels. I'm not sure how I will play this game out, but if I was, in hindsight, if I was playing it out, what I would do now is I would push levels, try and get in 6 Ghostly, and then not really worry about rolling. I can use my 2-for-1 just to gain Econ to level up now. Right, so now I use 2-for-1 to just buy a 3 cost, sell the 3 cost, and level up. Because the Aatrox I'm one off anyways. It doesn't matter. I don't need to roll for it. The only thing I would roll for is a Lowy. And it's not worth it to roll for 1 unit. Because the chance of me hitting an Lowy in shop, it's not as high as before when I was rolling for, like, the entire board. Right? So essentially, the rolling aspect of this reroll is done. And now I'm just going to sit and try and like, you know, just make it to the end game, right? So I'm gonna skip ahead a couple rounds. So I just pushed a level. Did I roll here? Wait. I think I pushed a level and then I rolled once. Yeah. Why did I? Oh, I'm rolling a little bit. Okay, this is incorrect, I would say. I either don't roll or I do roll. I think I was just looking for a behemoth. I think I was looking for a behemoth and I wanted to level for a behemoth, but I should have leveled first and then played the behemoth. Now I'm just rolling on 7 because no, you know what, this was all played poorly. Okay, that was pretty good. So I bought the Diana to get more gold because I only needed 1 Aatrox anyways. Okay, so that was a waste of money. Don't do that. What I said before, I had a feeling that I did something wrong because I think I won second this game and I was like, how could I not cap out higher? And it's because I probably wasted a bunch of gold there. What I should have done is if I was gonna level, I should have leveled when I saw Behemoth in shop. If not, I should have just tempoed my items because the Aatrox doesn't really matter. You can natural an Aatrox at 1 point later in the game. Right, if you look at the I guess the Aatrox did a bunch of damage this fight, but generally it's not that important. So here, because I'm level 7, I'm just playing an extra Behemoth because the Behemoth gives the Shen the Behemoth stacks, right? Which is just good to have. As soon as you hit level 8, then you're swapping out your Kayn for Morgana. You're swapping in Kayn and Morgana for the Ornn for the Behemoth, right? Yeah, this is fine right now because I don't have a Morgana. So I just level to 8. I'm still making 50. And ideally what I can do here is I should be able to like cap out and go 9. But I guess I just didn't. I found a Zeke's. I found a Morgana, so I put the Zeke's because it's just backline speed. That's what we got. I got dropped because of loot subscription, if I'm not mistaken. There's a Ghostly +1. Ghostly +1 doesn't really matter that much. But it does open up the possibility of playing like a behemoth instead, right? So I put Ghostly on. Okay, so this was a mistake here. This is what I wanted to point out. Okay, I remember this part of this game. So I put the Ghostly on the Senna. You should put Ghostly on Senna. I think it's just better to put on a frontline unit. I just thought my Jax was kind of useless. I figured that double Guinsoo Senna Ghostly would be pretty good, but I think it's kind of troll. It's better just to put on like one other frontline unit, especially since I'm not playing 8 Ghostly here. So who am I dropping, right? Instead, I can just put the Ghostly on. I can just put the Ghostly on an Ornn, and I can just play Ornn, if that makes sense, right? So instead of putting on Senna, I can just play an Ornn 2 now. Also, I got kind of rolled by this guy because he wrapped the back line. So that was kind of bad. Wait, do I still win this fight? I'm curious now. I might still win this. Because my Shen and my dude are my Aatrox. You know what? Aatrox 3 diff. But that was a clone. So the Bard player beats me. This is probably because of positioning again. Actually, it's like Giga capped Bard, right? Yeah, I think this guy just outcapped me a little bit. Also, 7 Ghostly really doesn't do shit all. I should have really put this on a frontline unit. And I should put in Behemoth over the Morgana. I think I'm just waiting for like the dude too. Yeah, so my Spectres just took too long to make it to the end game. And I'm probably going to lose to the Yone board if I have to guess. This Yone board is very strong with the Reapers. So yeah, I'm just going to skip to the end here. Yeah, it's a 1v1 versus this Yone board. We haven't seen it because I wasn't playing it much during the game. But this is like a very Giga capped Yone board. Now what you do at Yone is you just play Heavenly. Bro, I just play 4 Behemoth. Dude. Okay, I don't want to watch this. This was back when Ghostly first came out, and I was learning how to play the game. So let's not watch me make a bad mistake. Okay, so the correct decision here is I'm 7 Ghostly. I don't need the 8th Ghostly. Morgana is kind of okay if I gave her Tattoo of Toxin and I had some extra items. So you can drop one unit here. So I'm level 10 as well. So I can drop the Morgana. I can play another Behemoth, right? And then I can play either Azir or even another Behemoth or like a Warden. Basically just stack frontline, and then I should have put the Ghostly on the frontline unit as well. That's how you can make the board a little bit higher cap. But obviously like making mistakes, like now I know for sure it's never put it on Senna, the Ghostly emblem, or like very rarely put it on Senna. But this board with this Yasuo, it's basically just vertical Heavenly and 4 Reaper, and basically your Yasuo and your Kayn become like insanely brokenly strong. And then he has Reaper emblem on a Wei 2, and Wei 2 is like really broken. Also, there was a guy, I kind of just deleted the comments because like I didn't want to respond to it, but there's a guy that was like very like annoying, saying that Yone wasn't very good, or sorry, that saying that Wei wasn't like the best legendary, which is fine if you believe that, but like look at the stats. He has the highest win rate, right? And he's like, you know what, I'm not gonna talk about it, but basically what happens with YouTube, if you're still watching the videos, I don't actually know if you meant any ill will or if you actually were just like genuinely posing a question. But like with YouTube, if I don't want to respond to a comment, there's no option for me not to respond to it. YouTube will just keep like showing me the comment every time I sign in, saying you have to respond to this comment. So I usually just remove them if there's like a lot of things and you typed way too many comments, right? If you want to get like added back, just join my stream and say like what was going on. But like I'm not gonna read like 400 paragraphs in YouTube's chat and have a conversation, especially if one of them just doesn't look at the stats and it's just wrong. It's like I don't want to have this discussion. So it's fine. This is another Ghostly game, so this one is going to be played a lot better. Now this one I don't use the rerolling augment, so I don't actually use like the 2-for-1, and it's not like the hardcore tech like that. But instead, or rather, it's just a little bit higher quality of a game that I also want to show because like I kind of skipped through the last one, just for like the last couple minutes to give you a better idea of what it should look like, if you were going for this comp. So I start with the Shen. I think I'm pretty uncontested this game as well. It's the Lilia one, so you don't see the augments right away. I just end up playing Ghostly because it's like, okay, I got dropped a Shen, I have an Aatrox, I have a Senna. It's like, okay, like what else, like even if it's the thing with Ghostly before was that you didn't have to like commit to the reroll line. You could just play it for tempo, if that makes sense. So what do I mean by play for tempo? What I mean is like you get a Senna 2, a Shen 2, an Aatrox 2, and then you win out stage 3, and then you just level to 8, level to 9, and you just like swap out everybody for legendary units, right? But anyways, so I put in this, I commit to the stuff, I get the champ duplicator because I'm committed to the reroll version, and I get pumping up. There's 2 augments back to back, so that's why I just skip through them. And pumping up is also good because it just gives attack speed, and that kind of generally helps. Like every extra Spectre is good. I had Tattoo of Force. Tattoo of Force isn't that great, but I just put on the Shen because whatever. It's extra armor and MR. I think the worst one, according to most people, is Vitality. Like usually with the Ink Shadow, you want protection is very good for frontline and is very good for the Ghostly comp. But in general, you want protection or toxin, so you don't have to make anti-heal. And then the worst one to get is Vitality because I think it does pretty much nothing for this comp. It's just one of the worst Ink Shadow items. So yeah, be careful with those. Sometimes you might play into the comp and then you'll realize that you're significantly weaker, and a lot of times it's because you just don't have the Ink Shadow item that's supposed to give you like a lot of tempo and a lot of power in the comp is actually just really shit. And then I took You Have My Bow, just because I was like, okay, more attack speed. I don't think there was a better augment that I could have taken at that point. And let's skip ahead a little bit. So stage 3, now this is more like a slow roll game, right? I'm trying to build econ and slow roll. I slight rolled for upgrades, that's how I got like Shen 2, Aatrox 2, and everything else. But besides, and I leveled to 6, but besides that, I am not rolling aggressively now because I'm just trying to stabilize. If my board is stable, then I will just deal with it later, and we will just, you know, play the game, right? So I'm stable right now, I'm fairly stable right now. I'm just gonna go for this, and then I'll roll for 3 stars like after neutrals maybe. Oh, I lost. Maybe I'm not stable. But anyways, okay. So I just take. I think I wanted a chainmail so I can make double gargoyles. Lovely. And now I'm just slow rolling 50. So I'm gonna skip a couple rounds ahead. Do I take the artifact anvil? It's kind of troll. I think I do nothing. Yeah. I do like this augment where Lysandra offers you items. It kind of feels really bad when you reroll to spend money. It's the same as like the Cho'Gath one. It's like if you're like high roll and you're able to just take it, it's like really strong. But like if you're like reroll, it really doesn't help you at all. Because the artifact, it's like you don't even get to pick the artifact. It's like, well, you do get to pick it, but what I mean is like it's not like a tailored artifact. Sometimes you just hit some shit and it's like, oh, I can't use any of these. Right, like Death's Defiance, Deathfire Grasp. It's like, oh great, I just spent 22 gold and I don't have an AP carry or a melee carry right now. Anyways, so we don't have to watch this because you guys have probably seen it. It's very boring, but basically I just wanted to show you guys that. So I'm level 6. I'm just slow rolling. I'm fairly stable. This is why the comp was very broken. So this is in a non-prismatic lobby, right? The other one, because you had 2 for 1, you had to take into account there was also a prismatic lobby. So generally, the rest of the board is very strong. Here, this is a double silver and gold augment lobby. So the entire lobby is very weak. So having just upgraded 2 costs with this gold, oh look, here's Cho'Gath. You have to decline this as well. Speak of the devil. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, here it's a very low roll lobby, so I can slow roll at stage 4, 3, and I have no 3 stars yet. I just commit to taking the Shen. here because it spikes me really hard just to guarantee that I win out on stage 4. Ideally what you do is you roll a little bit because I'm close to, well, I'm actually not close to hitting Senna at all though, because I think there's another guy playing Senna, right? Or was playing Senna. So because I'm not close to any of the other units, I just commit to making the Shen 3 with my 2 duplicators for my augment because it will spike me the hardest for the longest amount of time. Right? I think Tattoo of Force should be replaced with either Spark or Redemption. I think are both good on Shen. But for right now, it's okay, right? Because Shen dashing to another unit just to make sure there's ghostly uptime is pretty good. It's not the worst. Tattoo of Force isn't that bad because it also gives a bunch of armor and MR, so it's not that bad, but it's not the best, but it's pretty good, right? I think Shen though would prefer like a complete item, but we'll see what happens. But anyways, all I'm trying to say here is that as you can see, the pace of the match was a lot slower. The comp was very stable around the 2 stars. I don't know if it will continue to be come Wednesday. That'll have to be a trial and error. Maybe I'll just troll one game and see what happens. But the idea is you only roll, you slow roll, and then you can push levels if you don't have stuff to roll for. And there's no reason to send it deep unless I'm in danger, right? I'm highest health in the lobby, I'm win streaking, I'm doing great, everything's fine, and I'm happy, right? In this spot especially, I might even be able to just tempo push levels, right? Having the Shen 3 is way more important than having the Senna. Because the Senna damage, it matters, but what mostly matters is the ghostly stacks, right? So having the frontline upgraded is so much more important because you'd rather have it that, like the ghostly damage is most of your damage, right? It doesn't matter if the Senna is one-shotting people. It matters that the ghostly stacks build up fast enough so that you can one-shot people, right? What I can do is you can switch the Senna for, you can switch her for like, I've seen Kaisa work really well, so you can switch her for Kaisa. You can switch her to put her items on a Kane, fuck it, just put them on Kane. You could, like, you don't have to commit to Senna 3. Here I'm playing a guy who's like really fucking strong, so yeah, he's Volibear 3. I didn't have enough front line or damage to deal with this. He just kind of killed my Shen instantly. But anyways, I digress. If you end up making the Senna, you can make it, but right now my priority is pushing levels. So as you can see here, I leveled to 7, just getting a Morgana, which is an extra unit. I should hold this Kaisa, but I think at this point, this was also fairly early on. Now I know that there's like a line that you can play around Kaisa really well. Here I should probably just take, it's the Malphite one, that's why I'm able to change the items, right? But if, either way, I'd be able to change the what's it called, the tattoo, no matter what. I put the Orn on Shen because I think to myself this extra Shen will just do ghostly procs. I think it might have been better just to take Anima Visage just so he has passive healing and he lives longer, but I think whatever, I think they're all around fine. When I looked in the stats, like there wasn't one in particular that was like crazy. The second Shen helps with just a couple ghostly procs, which is good, but he really doesn't tank that much. Anyways, you can see I level now. I level for 6 ghostly. I'm just showing that, like, you know, I'm not caught up on rolling for this Senna or this Aatrox. I have the Shen, which was most important. I took the duplicator augment to help me hit, right, to commit to this reroll version. And then it's basically, it should be a win out from here because I don't think anybody can beat me now. Because with the 6 ghostly, I put the tricksters on the Morgana after just because I felt like it worked out a little bit better. I think I also have a Lowy 3 by now, which is good. I'll just show the final fight, which should be like right around here, and I will conclude the video just to give you a brief idea of how to play ghostly. I showed you 2 renditions. This one's a little bit better played. Yeah, I put Declaw on Shen because I want to have some passive healing, even if it's just a little bit of healing, to help with the uptime. I duplicated the Morgana. Might still be duplicate a frontline unit, but I'm like, whatever. I'm just rolling on 8 because it's like, okay, I don't think I'm going to make it to 9, and there's nothing I can really fit in on 9 besides a Behemoth, but I have double Titan Shen, and Behemoth just gives more armor. So I just kind of commit to rolling because I'm like, okay, maybe I hit Senna, maybe I hit Aatrox, maybe I hit, like, I don't know, Morgana 3. It's like, you know, I could greed 2 turns and try and go 9, but at this point I think based on the matchups, it's like I don't think I lose to anybody, so I just want to guarantee that I don't accidentally throw away health and let people scale up to me, right? Like I could greed, like even if I lost this round, right? I can greed to go 9, to go 10, right? This guy's not even Bard 3, like really. But the thing is, based on the last 2 fights that were left, I have a Bard player, which is a really good matchup for me, and I have this guy who I just beat, which I knew from before was already a good matchup for me. So I'm rolling on 8 because there's no reason for me to go 9, because I'm not trying to greed in order to how do I phrase it? I'm greeding to just put in a behemoth for like a little bit of extra damage. Or I just roll, guarantee that I upgrade, like guarantee try and upgrade units here and minimize the chance of giving the other guy more turns to hit and outscale me because I already am stronger than them, right? That's my logic here. If I wasn't close to Senna, so I was kind of close. I think I was 1 or 2 off Senna, and I think I found 1 Senna, and that's why I sent it. If I wasn't close to Senna, let's say I only had like 1 Senna on bench, then it's probably just level anyway because there's nothing to roll for, right? But in this case, I think I still can hit Aatrox, right? I'm 2 off Aatrox, right? And I think I was 1 off Senna, so that's why I rolled. Anyways, this one's a first with better itemizations and just like generally a weak lobby because there wasn't any wild swings because of like prismatic augments or stuff like that. Anyways, this concludes the video. Hopefully this was somewhat informative. Hopefully if Ghostly isn't nerfed too badly, this still works as a nice guide or little introduction to the comp. I wasn't able to show the Kindred version because I did not play the Kindred, but basically in place of Senna, you can play Kindred. In place of Jax, you can play Gnar, and then you have a little bit better leveling potential to play like Ornn, Azir, or you can play like there's other options for it. But basically the idea is if you don't have AP, if you have AP items and you don't have like bows for Senna, then you can make like blue buff Rabadons on Kindred, and then the Gnar also scales, and Gnar 3 is also a 2 cost that you can buy with the Shen and the Aatrox, right? Similar to how Senna Gnar used to run, except you just play Kindred, Gnar, and Ghostlies, right? That's a version or rendition. But anyways, thank you for watching. Tomorrow I will probably show I'll probably do a Fine Vintage because Fine Vintage is the other one that's gonna get nerfed. I'll show like a rough tutorial on how to play Fine Vintage, and then I will on Wednesday will be our patch notes, right? I'll go over the patch notes on Wednesday, which usually I do on a Monday, but I just want to get out these 2 little tutorial videos, and then we'll do that. All right, see ya.